Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to another phenomenal episode of the Extraordinary Exchange podcast, brought to you by the good gentlemen over the Extraordinary Investment Group. Y'all see the logo, y'all see the branding, y'all know what it is. We 2 of 12 black men in the community doing what we can to influence our community through education and smart financial strategies, and y'all about to get educated. Y'all really about to get educated. I got my co-host Benz. What's good with you, Benzino?
What's going on, man? Season 2's here. Pre-recorded, we talked about this our second season. We've done a lot of episodes. I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Nate. Ben, this was your idea to start this podcast up. Done a great job of keeping us going. I'm happy to be here for season 2. Let's get it cracking.
Yeah, all right, so it's official. We got seasons. We unofficially had the season 2, but all right, we in season 2 now.
We in season 2.
And we have a phenomenal guest, which probably should have been on season 1. Wanted to be on season 1, but season 2, she can help kick it off. Phenomenal individual. Got the pleasure of meeting. It's about a year ago. She is the author of this fire book right here. Matter of fact, this episode is brought to you by. Do a quick plug. Evolving While Black: The Ultimate Guide to Happiness and Transformation on Your Own Terms. She'll get to talking about that. She's a renowned life coach, chief happiness curator, and creator of the Happy Pop-Up. Definitely going to talk about that. Me and Benz were privileged enough to get our dose of happiness at the last Happy Pop-Up. International speaker, certified coach, transformation strategist, workplace and mindfulness facilitator, positive psychology practitioner, all the things. So she'll talk about it. Greenville's own. I say it right, Greenville, not Greenville. Greenville.
What are you? Yeah. Greenville, what up, though?
We got the incomparable Miss Chianti Lomax. What's going on, Chianti?
Hey, thanks for having me, for Nate and Vince. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for having me. I am super excited to talk to y'all.
Music aficionado. There's so many other labels I was thinking about in my mind to.
I know, music is I love music. That's music is life.
Hip hop for sure. Got a lot of hip hop references in the book. Yeah. But yeah, just give everybody a brief synopsis of kind of who you are and your passion and how we got to come here on the podcast.
Sure. It's so funny because I'm like, where do I start? Well, I know you read a lot of titles and labels. I know.
Me in church.
Take your time. Take your time. See, I grew up Southern Baptist, so that means a lot to me. I know that you read a lot of titles and labels. That's just because you got to do that for bios. But like when people ask me who I am or what I care about, I tell people that I really believe that Black women, my passion is making sure that Black women are authentically happy and free. And freedom looks different for everyone, whatever that means to you. I'm passionate about making sure that we as Black people move from the mindset of just survival to thriving because we deserve it. We're worthy of it. If anybody's worthy of it, it's us. And so that's why I do the work that I do. I do coaching, training, and all the things, but like that's really my mission. How I got here, I guess that's what you want to know, right? It is, as you said, I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville with a U. And at an early age, I knew that I would be a little different. And I said that because where I grew up, I think that struggle, living paycheck to paycheck, violence or seeing violence around me was the norm. But the funny thing is when you're growing up in an environment, you think it's normal. Like you don't know that it's strange. You're like, oh, this is actually not good, but you don't recognize that until you get out of the environment. But even though I feel like I didn't have like real examples of what success looks like outside of my neighborhood, something in me said that my life was going to be different. Like I didn't know what it was. My mind was always like, no, but there has to be something else. One of my character strengths is curiosity. So I was always curious about the world outside of where I grew up. I was always curious about other people's lives. I watched a lot of TV growing up, like most of us. I was curious about like different families, different settings, different cities. And so early on, I just decided I wanted to see what life would be like outside of Greenville. Plus I had a mom who was just like, even though she was a single parent, she was always working. She was busy. She had to do what she had to do. The one gem she always gave us was like, yo, like, you're going to go to school, you're going to graduate, you're going to go to college and get up out of South Carolina. That was the bottom line. Whatever you do after that, you figure it out. But what I asked for you to do is go to school, get out of South Carolina. And so that's what I did. So I graduated from college, got a job and moved to DC, where I was doing consulting work. And for the past like 15 years, I was helping organizations transform their culture, people, and tech. But the thing that really like stirred up stuff in my heart was like this process of helping people through change, helping people transform. Like that really spoke loudest to me. And I really enjoyed working with people who look like us. So when I would get into these big organizations and I would see these Black people, especially in this area, doing well, they're in high positions, but there was still some stuff, there's some mental stuff they needed to work through. I was a part of the team that would help them to do that. And so I was like, yo, like, I really enjoy helping people through change. What would that look like outside of consulting? And so I used to talk to friends a lot. They're like, Chianti, you're really good at helping people figure things out. You're really good at this. What does that look like as a career? And this was 2015, before coaching was popular, before it was all over the place. Everybody a coach now. That's a whole nother topic. But everybody a coach now. They don't know. They don't have certifications. They ain't go through no kind of school, but they a coach. And so I said, you know what? I believe in integrity and making sure I know what I'm doing. So I went to school for coaching. And I went to the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute in 2015 by this Black woman named Valerie Burton. And it was all about helping people create lives that they can thrive and flourish in. And I'm like, that sounds like what I want to do. Did that, fell in love with coaching and helping women specifically figure out lives that will allow them to be authentically happy and free. And then I was like, I fell in love with positive psychology. I was like, I want to do more of this, did more schooling around that, and decided, well, a lot of this stuff in positive psychology, a lot of the people that are teaching this stuff, they don't look like us. They look like white men, older white women. And the information is super dope. I'm like sitting in these classes about to cry. I'm having therapy sessions with myself in the classes. Like, man, like, what if people who look like us got this information, even though it's real stuffy and it's a lot of research around it? And I was like, what would that look like afterwards? Which actually was the inspiration for the Happy Pop-Up. So the Happy Pop-Up, it was my ode to helping Black people create their own versions of happiness in an experience format, which is what you and Ben's went to. And then I was like, events are expensive, but I still want to help people with my coaching. I want to help people with the pop-up, and I want to share this message. I want to help people create their own versions of happiness and freedom. Like, what would that look like if I scaled this? And I was like, well, I could write a book. I don't know who's gonna listen to me. I don't know if what this is gonna be about, what the process is. And just like anything, I like to do my research. I'm curious. I found a book coach. She helped me figure out what, the format for it. We pitched it to a lot of publishers. I got a lot of no's because my platform is smaller. A lot of people didn't believe in it. And then this one publisher was like, we're going to take a chance on this little Black girl from South Carolina. And I was like, I'll sign this contract, but I want it to be in my voice. I want it to sound like you're having brunch with your best friend and she just giving you some sound advice. And that's like the shrunk version of how we got here.
So you described the book as brunch with the best friend. See, me, I look at it more like going to class. You gotta have your pen, your pad, your notes, and because there's a lot of instructions and reflection. There you go, reflection in there.
My notes.
Yeah.
So the tone is very come hang out, have brunch. But to get the most out of the book, I feel like you need to be prepared for the lessons that are in there.
Yeah.
What I guess the question I'll start off with: what inspired you to go from I have this passion to I want to actually teach it in that structured way in the book?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Vince, because in my professional background, I do learning and development for adult learners.
Mm-hmm.
So what I know for sure is that people, especially adult learners, we have short attention spans. So if you notice, the book is a story at the top just to grab your attention, right? And then this is I call it the tell me, show me, let me try method, right? And that's from learning and development. So I'm going to tell you about it. So I'm giving you my own story with my experience about it. I'm going to show you the process of how to do it. And then I'm going to let you try it, which is the practices. So I know that works for people that want to learn, especially adult learners with short attention spans like us, from millennials and Gen Z. Like, I'm like, I know this is going to work because I do this full time all the time when I'm teaching people how to go through change or learn something new. So I just wanted to take all of that and apply it to how I structured the book, because I know it would keep people's attention and also help them work it out themselves.
And it helps. It solves like if you have a issue that you want to solve, that structure literally drives you how to get to what you want to get to, instead of just being open and random and letting you find your own way. You kind of give a path to solution. I like it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's interesting. Like a lot of the books, because my book, of course, everything I do, my coaching, trainings, the pop up, everything is rooted in positive psychology, and sometimes that content is dry. So I was like, I want to make sure not only do I get you with a story in the beginning, it may be a crazy story, but it's going to catch your attention. I also want to make sure the practices are just simple. Like, I don't want it to be too like I don't want it to feel like a lecture. I don't want it to feel like a TED talk. I want it to feel like, you know what, I could do these 3 things today, and it's not going to feel like I'm not going to get anxious about it or stressed out. It's not going to be too much. So it's like bite-sized things that you could do in your daily life.
The only anxious or stressful part about it is realizing some of the things or traumas or past experiences that you're dealing with, that this book helps you unpack. And you're like, ooh, I got to deal with it. I didn't even think I had that, and I had to unpack that. So like the structure of it, from even the invitations at the end, how you kind of usher people into that. Like, I invite you to, like you said, tell me, show me. What'd you say? Tell me,
let me try.
Show me, let me try. Like, you're inviting people to say, hey, go ahead, try this. Is beautiful.
Thank you. And I did it. I'm glad you brought that up, Nate, because like, some books you read and it feel like the people like are talking down to you. Like, you feel like, hey, I feel like they're yelling at me a little bit. And I never wanted it to feel like I was talking down to the reader or just anybody that would pick up the book. I wanted it to feel like I was being with you on the journey. Like, I wanted you to feel like I was like your friend or like the co-pilot on this journey. And I'm going to invite you. I'm not going to force you to do it, but I'm like, I know it works. Try it out. It's like, I call it like the sugar and the medicine method. You want to give people sugar. And I grew up hearing the saying, I don't even know if the saying makes sense, but it's like, you get more bees with honey. So I wanted to give people honey throughout the entire book so that they wanted to feel like they could try it, or it felt in like an invitation versus I'm gonna make you do this, or versus you're dumb if you don't do this. I wanted to feel more like honey, so that you can get what you need.
And you're transparent about your own journey. So you give notes and personal stories about what you actually went through that you had to unpack as well. So like you said, you're on this journey, with the reader.
Absolutely. You know what? I grew up in the church, right? And I feel like the best preachers or the best teachers from the pulpit always spoke from experience first. Like, those are people I can relate to. Like, I can't relate to somebody that's standing in the ivory tower that's speaking from a place of perfection. I don't like that. But if you tell me you done been through it and you give me just a little bit to let me know, I'm gonna trust you. That builds trust. So me sharing my own stories and like parts of myself that my friends was like, I can't believe you put that in the book, like stuff like that. I knew that vulnerability was going to build trust with people who read the book. I knew that it'll let you know, like, hey, like, it's literally, I've been there. I'm still going through some stuff, because growth is not linear, it's cyclical. So there's still things I have to work out and redo. But that's okay. It's just like, growth is not a linear place. It's going to be cyclical. And I'm telling y'all right now, I'm not perfect. I believe that being human is beautiful. And I just wanted to make sure I express that humanity throughout the whole book.
And you do a great job of that. It's very personal. And so that gives it that touch. And it talks about your personal growth and the events that propelled that for you. I know you talked about the story in the beginning. I know there's one story in the preface is about skydiving. and how that kind of started you on the journey of getting out of yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of pushed you forward?
And also,
Just
real quick, did your best friend end up skydiving at
did
all?
she
Because
ever
I know
go?
she backed out at first. Did she end up doing it eventually, or nah? She's still
She
chasing.
didn't do it. Nate, you met her. It's Tamara. It was Tompkins, and I feel like Nate met him. Did you meet Tompkins? I don't know. It's Tamara. So
Yeah.
skydiving. So I was real quickly. I was about to turn 30. This is gonna age me, but that was a decade ago. I was about to turn 30, and I was sitting at my desk, just like y'all. You ever had that moment where you're just like, just feel fed up, just like this can't be like this just can't be it.
Can't be life.
Like just clocking
Can't.
in every day, yeah, just doing the things. And at the time I was commuting, I was taking the metro to work. It was just a lot. I was just like, this can't be it. Like there has to be something else. And I'm telling you, like there has to be something else has been in me since I was a child. So I was like, it was getting louder and louder. And I couldn't figure out how to get past it though. Like I couldn't figure out, like I needed something to like jolt me to move, like to push me to move. And literally, like the book says, if you haven't read it, and y'all should pick it up. I'm sitting there, and this is when Groupon first came out. So y'all remember Groupon is like, they was always in your inbox with something, like some kind of message. They was like screaming at you, try this, try that. And it was like exclamation marks. And literally I was sitting there minding my black business. And I got this email that just said, you know, try skydiving or whatever it said. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is the thing. My gut was like screaming, like, you got to do this. Part of me was like, my mom is going to kill me if I don't survive. But like, I got to do this. And one thing about me is like, I'm always going to go with my gut. When I don't go with my gut, I see the consequences of it. But when I do go with my gut, I always see something dope on the other side of it. So I went with my gut. I tried to grab my friend Tamara. I was like, we should go skydiving together. She was like, I'm down. Let's do it. Child, we get there. We in Warrenton, Virginia. We get there. She see that little big plane, and she said, "I don't know, thank you. I'm not gonna do it. I will see you when you get bike. I will see you when you get back on the ground." And honestly, it's so funny because, like, for a lot of people, that would have stopped them, right? They would have been like, "Oh, well, if she's not gonna do it, I shouldn't do it. That's just not who I am. That's not how I was raised either. It's like just because you ain't gonna do it doesn't mean I shouldn't." So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway. Let me just see. Like it was my decision to do it. I made the decision and I went forward through it. And honestly, like it was just one of the best decisions I feel like I ever made in my life. Because I like faced that fear of like heights and just like jumping out a perfectly fine plane. I feel like there's nothing I can't do. Like I literally will feel fear and do it anyway. Like literally anything I face, whether it's pitching a client, trying to get a contract, writing the book was scary as hell. But like anything, literally, because of that moment, it gave me the historical data that anything Chianti puts her mind to, she can do it regardless of how scary it is. And that is what I point to a lot in my life. It's like, this is going to be scary as hell. And also, it might be some dope stuff on the other side of this. So let me try it anyway, in the face of whatever the fear might be.
So, what are some of the dope things that have come as a result of this your time to really unpack? And I don't know if you've even done this yet. Have you got, an opportunity to like sit back, evaluate, like, man, I really did this thing. Man, this book is doing well. I'm getting all this positive feedback. I did this book tour. What are some of the dope things that have come about as a result of you taking that leap of faith and putting this book out?
Great question. You know what's interesting? Like a lot of people, when they do stuff like this, they point to like the very big things, like the things that are like award worthy or that give you recognition. But something that has been really bringing me a lot of joy is just seeing how it's impacting the people that I know or people that are like in connection to me, like are a part of my village or adjacent to my village. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. Like, for example, when the book first came out, one of my best friends, my other best friend, Crystal, I went to her house and I was about to do a speaking engagement for the book in Charlotte. And I was staying at her house. Her mom was there. Her mom has seen me grow up. She's known me since I was 14 years old. But her mom had went through a recent death. Like she lost her partner who passed away. And Crystal had gifted her my book to read. And so when I got there, she was like, can we sit down and talk for a second? I was like, sure, what's up? She was like, I just want you to know that as a 70-year-old woman, your book is really changing my life because I wanted to give up. Like my partner just passed away, but it's really helping me to realize that I have so much to live for. And I'm happy that it came from you. She was like, I watched you grow up, but the words that you're speaking to, she was like, they're speaking to me. And I'm thinking, this is for 30 somethings and 40 somethings. She was like, but no, like I'm 70 years old and this book is speaking life into me. So like that moment just like really took me back because I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, this woman really has seen me grow up. I'm talking about nappy head and all, but like she was very moved by what she was reading in the book. And she was like, I'm going to gift it to so many people because I feel like it can change some lives. So like that moment really just like made me happy and brought me joy. Another moment happened this week. One of my line sisters sent me, we do voice notes. So sent me a voice note and she was like, girl, I came home one day, my brother was visiting, and she said, I come home, he's sitting in the living room with his legs crossed reading your book. And he was like, this book is good. Have you read this? Do you know this girl that wrote this book? And she was like, yeah, that's my friend. And he was like, man, this book is so good. Like, I feel like she talking to me. Like, she talking to me. And she was like, he was just sitting there, like, just reading it, taking notes. And he was like, does she got an Audible version? She's like, he's going through, let me check if she got Audible version. He looks through the Audible version. He finds it. He was like, is she reading it? And she was like, yeah, her name is Chianti. He was like, oh my God, I'm about to buy this, but I got to get the hard copy. I know this your copy, but I got to get my own copy because I want to take the notes. I want to do the work that she's talking about in the book. So like, yes, the accolades are cool, but for me, it's the people it's actually touching, like the people that I know or that people that they know that is touching. Like that's the most rewarding part of this experience for me. More than the accolades. Yes, like I just got an award for like best self-help book. But like that's cool. But like the people lives that is changing is getting back to the root of why I'm doing this, because I believe Black people deserve to be happy and free. And if more Black people are reading it, more of us that I know are reading it, like that's what I care about the most.
So I have a question that just came to me. So here at
All of
the
the
store.
questions are. That's how all our questions been so far. We got questions like, just to be transparent. We had questions that we gave her. None of the questions that we gave her.
No, this is off the cuff.
That's how most of the best episodes happen like this. So go ahead, Ben.
I like this though. This is more conversational. I love this, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, real talk, real conversation. So here's my question for you though. So our podcast and our group are mostly business owners, small business owners, people that are trying to start, entrepreneurs,
Sure.
leaders in that field. With your corporate history,
Yeah.
the question I have for you is: this book here is a self-help book.
Mm-hmm.
Possible part 2 for you. How could somebody incorporate these individual self-help ideas and help interpret them for a smaller group setting? As a business owner, as a leader, you have people who you see the potential in. How do you help them try to get them? How you guide them to get that out of those people? Because that's personally, for self-associate, that's my biggest issue. I can look at somebody and see the greatness in them, but how can I get you to see that greatness in yourself? Is my problem.
Yeah.
They know. I have you all the time. Every day, I have somebody say, "If we could just get so and so to do this, if I can just encourage this person to do that." But how to encourage this person to get over their own things, and how does that work? Let me know.
Get the book first of all. That's it.
The book, right? But the book will help them.
I know.
Some people don't even want to believe that they have an issue. So as a friend, as a leader, you have to be able to encourage them to get to that point.
No, you bring up a good point. So I think where do I want to start? The dope thing is, I think you could take anything from the book and turn it into a group conversation or a one-on-one conversation. What I tell leaders, because I do have executive coaching clients who are leaders of organizations. I have a client right now who is, I can't say what organization it is, but she is a CEO of an organization in this area. And the things that are resonating the most are things around building self-awareness and self-discovery. So the thing about change and people with change is you can't tell people they need to change. And even as a coach, how I was taught as a coach, you help people self-discover. So you ask questions to help them self-discover, right? You ask them, how do you think this is going? You ask them questions about the change. So if there's like, they always late, and because they always late, right? Work doesn't get done or something happens because they're always late. So the goal would be to ask them a question, because you want to build the awareness around how this lateness is impacting the whole team or impacting the business. So you want to ask questions around like, how do you feel about the time you have in the day? How much time you have in the day? They're gonna tell you, well, sometimes I feel like I don't know if I have enough time in the day. Well, what would help you to feel like you have more time in that day? You know what? Maybe if I did XYZ, yada, yada, yada. Okay, well, how can we close the gap between what you want to happen and what's happening right now? So it's just asking questions to build that self-awareness, because you don't want to force change on people. They're not going to do it. The thing about change, when you think about change for any person, any organization, and this goes back to my corporate experience, you want to help people. The change curve works like this. You want to build the awareness of what has to change. Then you want to get them to adopt the change. That's the self-discovery part. And then you want to make them advocates of the change. So once they feel that change, they adopt it, they become advocates, and they might start telling everybody else to be on time, because it's doing so much for them in their spirit. It's helping them to feel less anxious. It's helping them to get the credit or whatever. Maybe they're doing more work and showing up better, showing up for themselves. And that's kind of how you want to approach it. It's like, don't force change. Ask questions to get people to the change.
I like that. A therapist tactic. I like that. You gotta make them under. I got it. I like that. Make them understand the issue first, and then they get the book.
That's a coaching that's a coaching tactic, and that's about building self-awareness. You take whatever the questions are around self-awareness and put it in third person. Ask the people, well, what would it look like if you did this? Like, how do you close the gap? You just ask questions. That's how I coach people. I literally I ask them questions, because the difference between, this is about to be a tangent. This is the difference between.
You in your bag. Do you think? Do you think? I'm not taking notes, because I'm gonna go back and edit everything. I'll get
This is the difference between mentorship and coaching, right? Mentorship is, I'm going to provide you solutions because I've been through it before. Let me tell you what I've done. Coaching is, I'm going to help you self-discover so that we can co-create the solution that you want to do. But in the end, with coaching, you will have more ownership of the goal and of the actions, because you came up with it. If I give it to you, more than likely, you might do it, depending on the type of person you are. But if you help to create the solutions, you're more than likely going to take ownership of it and move through it and execute. Which is why, even when you're a leader of a team or organization, it's good to tell people what to do. Of course, you have strategic vision, but how do you get them to move and do the action is through self-discovery and building self-awareness around how what they do is meaningful and impactful. And you help them self-discover. They co-create how they're going to do it. You get what you need from yourself and for the person.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was needed on a lot of levels. Because when you know so many people with so many different areas of greatness, it's sometimes hard for them to see that greatness in their self.
Yep.
And so something simple, like you say, arriving on time. Some people don't see it as a thing, but those people don't understand how that can inhibit you and to other people. How people see you, how people view you, and it'll block you from getting your blessings. Something simple is not coming up on time all the time. So to encourage someone to understand that impact is very important. So I appreciate that.
Something else that works, free game. Something else that works. I do this for my coaching clients when I start a coaching relationship, because the thing is, I call them coaching relationships. Everything's a relationship. You got to treat it as such. So whenever I start a coaching relationship, and I also advise any executive coaching clients that I have to do this with their teams, with their peers. I do this. I tell people to do this in their homes. So personally and professionally, is this idea of creating agreements, right? So a lot of people are operating under old programming that tells you, I'm going to set expectations for you and you're going to do what I say. Most of the time it don't work. Why? Because it's what I want you to do. But if I want it to feel like you are part of creating the solution or the process again. Let's set an agreement that we both can work under. I get buy-in from you, more than likely we're going to get to the goal because you feel like you added to the process. That's for a team member, that's for peers, that's for partners, romantic partners, that's for friends. So I think people should move away from I have an expectation, which never works because honestly, it's more rooted in ego of what I want to happen versus we set an agreement that both of us can lean into and I feel good about it. I don't feel like you're trying to tell me what to do. And I also feel like I'm adding to it. You have buy-in from me. And that makes everything work so much better. And that's just the idea of how to have better relationships in your life, your businesses, and with your friends.
Mutually beneficial.
Mutually beneficial. And you get buy-in because they co-created it with you.
That level of reciprocity is so beautiful. Just how you just map that out and outline that. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It works for teams, specifically for teams.
I'm getting this idea because there's going to be people that listen to this episode specifically, but have listened to episodes and talked about how they were taking notes. We need to have some kind of virtual, like note taking thing. Scan the QR code so
Ooh.
you can go along and get certain nuggets when you listen to this podcast. Because man, I'm gonna have like a page full of notes already of the free game issue.
Yeah. I see the gears working over there, Nate. I see you
Yeah,
thinking. I see you. I see you
I'm a creator
thinking.
just like you are. So I'm gonna read um something I pulled up. I went on Amazon. I think it was on Amazon, and I pulled up my um review on Evolving While Black. And Benz, I
Oh
told you,
God.
Chianti, I also told you I didn't want to just, I took my time. Actually, the story you told about your best friend, or one of your good friends' mothers,
Mm-hmm.
was that same day you told me that, months ago was when I wrote my review.
Oh
But
yeah, I did tell
this,
you that.
I'm a huge fan of self-help books.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Rich Dad Poor Dad was like the first one back in '02. I remember I
Mm-hmm.
was working inpatient pharmacy at Walter Reed, read that, changed my life, started reading other books.
Mm-hmm.
John C. Maxwell is my favorite leadership coach, mentor, whatever you want to call it. But um, when I read this, even though it's geared toward women and helping them transform into the best version of themselves possible, it spoke to me. So as someone who reads these books on a regular, I said it was a top 5 personal development book that I've ever read. I didn't
Yeah.
say that because it was you're someone that I know. But like real talk, this was an impactful book. So I put in Evolving While Black, Chianti Lomax offers more than just a self-help book. It's a journey wrapped in wit and wisdom that speaks directly to the soul. As a Black
Mm-hmm.
man navigating life's twists and turns, her stories resonated deeply, reflecting shared experiences and offering practical tools for growth. From
Mm.
setting boundaries was a big one for me,
That's a
that
huge one.
redefine self care to navigating the complexities of identity and mental health. Chianti's insights are a beacon of hope and empowerment. Through relatable antidotes and a touch of humor, Chianti breaks down the barriers that hold us back, encouraging us to embrace transformation and to reclaim our joy. Her blend of personal narrative and research based actionable advice makes this a must read for anyone looking to evolve and thrive. Evolving While Black isn't just a book, it's a companion on the journey to self discovery and resilience, reminding us all that our stories matter and our healing is non negotiable. It's easily one of the top 5 personal development books that I've read.
I need to print that out and put it on a wall somewhere. Cause that was a great review. Thank you so
But
much for that.
I'm trying to tell you, like, I hope you like each and every word of that was real. I read your book
Yeah.
2 times already. I had the physical copy, my
Yeah.
signed physical copy actually.
Oh
And then
yeah.
the audio book and was like, oh man, she's such a great orator too. Like you killed it. Your personality shines through. And then I went back and read the book again, got notes and all that good stuff. So just as a personal thank you to you, not just for being on the podcast, but by leaving this legacy in the form of this book. not just for folks now to read it, but for generations to come. Thank you, homie. I appreciate you.
Wow. That's major. Thank you so much. I received that, and it's funny because I'm glad that you liked the Audible version too, because that in itself was a journey. What people don't tell you, we should talk about what people don't tell you about writing books.
Mhm.
What people
Oh yeah, break it down.
and I got to be careful, right? Because this is going to be broadcasted. But what people don't tell you, especially if you're going to do the audiobook version, is like your voice is an instrument that can wear out quickly. I
Mm,
literally it took about 3 to 4 days. I feel like 4 days for me to actually record the book. And the first day, let me tell you, two things happened the first day. The first day, I cried while I
mm,
was reading it
mm,
because it hit me in that moment that it was real.
mm,
Like, you know how you go through the motions? Like, I don't even think I said this, but it took me 3 years to finish the book. And most people, like, I wrote my book in 1 year. And I'm like, because you ain't write it. You had a
mm,
ghostwriter. That's what
mm,
people don't tell you. They had
mm,
ghostwriters. I actually wrote this book. A lot of some of the things I kept in, took out. There's like a whole pruning process that you work with an editor for. And sometimes you disagree on what should go, what should not go, how what you want to say, what you don't want to say. Like there's like a thing because you just have people to answer to when you have a deal, right? A book deal.
mm.
So that happened. I cried because I was like, this is real. It took 3 years to get here and I couldn't believe it. The second thing, my voice gave out. I had to end early
Mm.
because you have to read at the same level and with the same enthusiasm
Wow.
every single
Mm,
line. And
mm,
you're like reading lines. Let's say you read a whole chapter. Uh they'll take notes and they're like, I need you to read just this one sentence with the same enthusiasm, the same way you read
mm.
it the other times. And that happens every single chapter. And so it was like a test of patience. It was a test of my own like willpower. And I won't say it was harder than writing the book, but it was just as hard because another thing is what people don't tell you in my book specifically, both of you have talked about like it sounds like me, it sounds like you're having a conversation with me. And in traditional publishing, a lot of the people who are in charge, they don't come from our culture.
Mm.
And so I'm literally like in the recording section, for example, they're like, you said this weird, you said such and such and such. And I'm like, that's how we talk.
Right. You had that? You had to explain it to him like that was intentional.
No, I said it like that for a reason. I'm from South
Uh,
Carolina. I'm from
wow.
South Carolina. So you're constantly in a mental battle, right? Trying to stay
Mm.
positive, trying to do the things, trying to read the book, and also protect your art at the same time. Because I'm like, no, this is how I'm going to say it. And I'm protecting my art because I know that the people who are reading this will get what I'm saying. You may not get what I'm saying, but they gonna get what I'm saying. And that's what this book is for. So I was literally fighting to protect the art the whole process while I was writing it, doing edits, while I was doing my voice recording. It was like a fight to say no because I wanted to be like this because I wanted to feel like authentically Black. Even the name itself, they're like, you gonna call this Evolving While Black? That's risky. I'm willing to take the risk because I know who this is for.
You
So
should
I
have said
wanted to
yes,
make
my
sure.
nigga. That's what I plan on doing. That's what you should have said. Like, yes.
I know who this is for. Like the people who gonna get it. And I'm so glad I stood 10 toes down and didn't change it. I'm like, nope, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to call it. These are the words I want to use. These are the references I want to make. And then one more thing people don't tell you is like for the final edit process, there are some things I had to take out. And I won't say the actual name, but the book literally is sprinkled with music references, as Nate said earlier, and like just my
Mhm.
love of hip hop because I grew up listening to hip hop, and it helped shape the positive parts of personality, especially when it comes to like confident swag, like talking, big talking, braggadocious, like I learned that from hip hop. And there are people there was a reference I had to take out at I'm talking about the very last edit before it went to print because I didn't want no problems. And it was before the things were coming out. So I was in that, but I was torn because I'm like, it was perfect how it was. And y'all, y'all are getting a scoop too. I ain't never said this anywhere else.
I'm gonna say when we start recording, you gotta let us know what the
but was. It broke my heart a little bit because of what it meant to what it meant to the culture. Like a lot of the things we grew up on, it's just a lot of stuff happening. So it's like, dang, but I know that I got to take it out, like, because of what it means today in 2024. Even though what it meant to us 80s babies, or I'm an 80s baby, but you know what I'm saying, like what it meant to me growing up in, like I'm like, man, like this would have hit different if it had been a different time, but I got to take it out. So that I thought that was interesting too.
Sorry, y'all can't get what that is, but we about to get it once we start.
Yeah, when we start recording, I'll tell y'all.
So you talked about recording the audible version. What made you decide that you want to do it yourself? I'm sure you could have found a lovely voice actress, that South Carolina black girl that still had the same pizzazz, but what made you say you would do it yourself?
Don't nobody know my story like me. I don't care how gifted and talented you are. Don't nobody know my story like me. And I said, and the funny thing is, they were gonna make me try out. They were like, you gotta try out with everybody else. And I was like, I don't care. I do what I gotta do because this is my book. My blood, sweat, and tears, my sleepless nights. It was me typing this book, listening to lo-fi YouTube stations, trying to get it out. So yeah, I literally just wanted to bet on myself because I feel like can't nobody tell my story like me. Even the jokes I was getting off, like I don't think nobody could have said it like me. Like it would have been weird, and I didn't want it to be awkward. Because sometimes I don't know if you've experienced it. You listening to audiobooks and you can tell it ain't the original author because they just not getting it off right. Especially for those autobiographies. Like I love it when people who wrote the books about themselves do the actual speaking because it feels more authentic. But when it's somebody else, it just feels kind of whack. It's like, nah, you can get it off right,
Oh no, I know exactly. So I hear good versions of that and bad versions of that. So that's why I process that way. Sometimes you'll find somebody that works for you, but sometimes bad choice.
Yeah.
But you doing it yourself, definitely added a lot more. Like I said, it's a very personable book in and of itself. So then for you to give your own personal touch by doing the audio version was the icing on the cake. It was a great job.
Thank you. Something else I thought about that that helped me too, and this is for people who maybe you're like, you moved away from home and you're like going after your passion, or you're creating stuff and in a vacuum, or like you feel stuck. Because one of the things that happened to me is I was at the very end of the book. I had like only like 2 chapters to turn in, and I just couldn't push anything else out. Like I had nothing left. And this book itself, the process itself was very therapeutic. I definitely shed some tears and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should say that. My mama gonna kill me. Like it was a few moments I was like, I don't know, this gonna be wild when it come out. But like I was stuck and I was like, I don't know what else to say. And so something that I gifted myself, and this is for anybody that's a creative or you're doing something business. I think business owners and entrepreneurs are creatives innately because you're creating something, right? And you feel like you're stuck. I gifted myself with the concept of going back to the source. So the source for me was Greenville, South Carolina. I had been writing the whole book from this area, from sitting in my condo with my laptop at my kitchen table, writing it out. But I was like, I don't have anything left. I need to go back to the source. And the thing about family, y'all read my book, like I get super involved. I'm an older daughter. I was like, I don't want to see these people for a week. I just want to go home, pick up the vibes, be where I came from, and finish the book. And I rented out, or I Airbnb'd a loft in Greenville in this old neighborhood that's been gentrified, but it used to be the hood. And I got a loft and I sat there and finished my book for a whole week in Greenville. I would take breaks, go walking around the old neighborhood, go get some food, and just do the country shit I like to do, and then go back in and just finish. And it was the best decision I ever made, was to go back to the source. So that's like something that I want to share people. Like if you ever feel stuck, you don't know like which way to go, just go back to the source. And that like really helped me to finish strong.
On everything I love. Bet the fellas don't know this. I kind of did that when we went to Philly. We went to a investment cultural pop up. It was like 150 black businesses at the convention
Mm-hmm.
center in Philly. And being originally from Philly, that's where I lived before I moved to Maryland. I went
Mm-hmm.
back to like some of my old stomping grounds, the old basketball court around the corner
Mm-hmm.
where I used to live. I was about to knock on the door from the place where we moved from Philly, but it
Oh wow.
looked like you said, looked gentrified, looked a little different.
Yeah.
I had a little. Matter of fact, I had this hoodie on right. I was like, nah, let me chill.
Yeah.
But it was a very therapeutic experience. So yeah, I can
Mm-hmm.
attest. Because the fellas, y'all went back. I stayed in Philly for a little bit
Yeah.
and met up with some folks. So yeah,
Ain't nothing like it. It's nothing
yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
it was dope.
Yeah.
Um, why this Janelle Monae quote? Because you were talking about as we wrap up.
Yeah, sure, sure.
The at the beginning you talk about the musical references or whatever. I thought this was a very dope, profound quote. Love yourself at every evolution. Be proud of yourself for having the bravery to grow. Be proud of yourself for finding tools and figuring shit out. Give yourself permission to evolve as often as you need to, in any way that you need to, without explanation. Don't know if this is a Janelle Monae lyric or what, but you put that at the beginning of your book. Um, yeah, what does that quote right there mean to you?
Yeah, I think that quote itself, it was from an interview she did with Angie Martinez. She was doing an interview with Angie
Mm,
Martinez. And
okay.
when she said it, I was like, that's the intro. That's gonna kick everything off because I felt like it really spoke to the essence and the spirit of my book. Um a lot of it meant a lot to put it in there because I think especially for black women, we a lot of people are plugged into the matrix and they are allowing certain belief systems, things they were told growing up, things are still told growing up, and you feel like you can't break out of a certain mold or you're going to be judged or you can't be yourself. And that quote was literally just first, give yourself permission to be human. You're never going to be perfect. Perfection is overrated. Anybody that says you need to be perfect is a liar and they're miserable. So it's like if you really want to create a life that allows you to be the most authentically expressed version of you, you have to release yourself from this idea that you're going to be perfect, that you're not going to make mistakes. You have to release yourself from belief systems that are not in alignment with who you're becoming. Because if you still are holding on to belief systems that don't fit anymore, that feel tight, you're never going to grow. You're never going to have joy. You're always going to be trying to live up to a standard that you didn't even create for yourself. So that's what that quote is all about. Release yourself from belief systems, release yourself from the idea that you got to be perfect, and unsubscribe from the thought that womanhood or just humans, like humanity, looks a certain kind of way, and do shit your own way. That's the only way to have happiness and to be joyful and experience freedom with integrity, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want to live a life that feels authentically like yours, you got to unsubscribe from the things that people told you should do and do what you want to do.
But you know what the issue is? I don't think a lot of people even know that they subscribe to stuff that
That's the
they
problem.
didn't subscribe to originally. Like they don't know the why behind the why. They don't know the why behind what they're doing and why they're doing stuff. But they've been indoctrinated with all these ideas, these quotas, these standards, and
Yeah. And
that's just life. So until they
but that's
realize and have that self actualization, then they're always going to be part of that.
but that's why everything that I do starts with self-awareness.
Mm.
My coaching, the book, everything starts with building self-awareness because that helps you to know, oh, wait a minute. Are the things that I believe about myself, are they true? And is this a belief system that I adopted for myself, or was it given to me by my mom, my religious organization, or something else that I've been tied to that I grew up around in my environment? The book starts with that. Building self-awareness, belief systems, my mindset, like where did that come from? It even, it talks about where mindsets come from. And that's what helps you to figure out, oh, I am subscribed and I'm locked into the matrix. I gotta unplug because half this stuff don't even belong to me, and that's why I'm unhappy.
And I think sometimes what I got from that quote is I think sometimes we don't appreciate the stops on that journey.
Absolutely.
So even though when you do come to that actualization that, oh, that I need to break these chains, that person that you were at that point in time, even if it wasn't the person that you want to be in the future, it was still something to learn, something to grow and add it to your story.
Yeah, the
And
grace.
you wouldn't be the person you were today without that time period. And I think a lot of times we want to hide it or put it away or act like, oh, that wasn't me. That you made you who you are today.
Every version. Be grateful for every version that you've been. Every version. Yep.
It's about that time. It's about that time. It's coming up on some of our bedtime. So we again
some of our bedtime.
We want to thank you. We're honored to have you here on the podcast, having this extraordinary exchange. Tell the folks where they could find this, where they could support you by supporting themselves. Yeah, plug yourself. Where can they find you?
All right. So you can find me at Chianti Lomax, ChiantiLomax. Anywhere where you can be social, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things. You can find my book, Evolving While Black, The Ultimate Guide to Happiness and Transformation on Your Own Terms. Anywhere you like to buy books online, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Politics and Prose, Sounds True through my publisher, all the places. Just Google Evolving While Black. You're going to find it by Chianti Lomax. And if you want to help yourself, I am currently doing a complimentary Wrapped in Ease mini course. Is Wrapped in Ease the remix. Hook me up. Hit me up on Instagram. Go to my profile, register for Wrapped in Ease. You can do it at your own pace. It's 5 days of helping you to unsubscribe from anything that is currently stressing you out, getting on your nerves, or blocking yourself from being free. I got the solution for you. I'm about to say I got the goods, but
I got the hook up.
Come get Wrapped in Ease with me for December. Come get Wrapped in Ease with me.
That's what's up.
Yes.
I might have to sign up.
You should.
I might have to sign up. I got a couple things I need to declutter myself. No, what's up?
Absolutely.
So, again, Benz and I, we're 2 of 12 Black men in the community doing what we can to positively impact the world through education and smart financial strategies. This has been an extraordinary exchange indeed. Ms. Lomax, thank you. Continue to bless the world with your gifts, being the best version of yourself possible. And yeah, we'll see y'all on the next podcast episode, man.